Good morning. So I don't know much about this OGL panic. I know the OGL is a legal document that allowed individuals to create third-party material for the D20 D&D system, right? Including, let's face it, almost every OSR I have ever purchased, and the life that was breathed back into me as a role-playing gamer was due to Labyrinth Lord, which would not have been if not for the OGL. So I have been it quite literally brought me back to the hobby. There is no way I would be in role-playing today if I had not discovered in 2008 or whatever it was, 2010, whatever year it was, Labyrinth Lord. So and I can't deny that all of my gaming money, 90% of my gaming money has gone to OSRs. All of them feature in the back page of those books the OGL license, basic fantasy, uh, sword and wizardry, white box, sword and wizardry, castles and crusades, shit, Pathfinder, right? The Pathfinder that I love to hate and I love to bitch about would not really be, right, if not for the OGL. I guess Pathfinder might have somehow dodged that bullet. I don't know. I don't know all the legal stuff. But I know this as a creator, as someone who likes to create, someone who modifies and creates. And I've said this before, a lot of OSRs are derivative. So, it's also made it really easy for people just to create crap and to get my money and to get other people's money. I've also seen pure genius come out of the OGL, and I would argue I've seen more good come out of the OGL in the creations. And I don't mean is stuff written for D&D 5e. I don't mean support material. I just mean game systems, right? That are, for the most part, some version of the game we grew up with, or the game I grew up with, or a version of a game that came after I gave it up, AD&D 2 or whatever, AD&D, right? But it also strikes me that at the same time, the OGL provided this for old guys like me, guys that wanted to harken back to what we grew up with without trying to find a collector's edition of Moldvay. It also stunted the growth of what might have come. So my name is James Spann, and what might I have created if I didn't fall back on the license, if I didn't use what had come before to create a thing on top of a thing? So the one thing we don't look at with the fallout of the OGL is all of these remarkably creative people didn't create anything actually new in many ways. And I don't want to get into an argument whether something is worth it or not. I wouldn't own them if I didn't think it was worth it. I mean that we don't know what might have been made if they didn't utilize the OGL, right? Would they have made something truly revolutionary? Would they have made something truly innovative? And so we also have to remember that the OGL might have very well stunted some of these most brilliant people in what they might have come up with as an alternative, right? So we can't deny the OGL's provided this for customers and for creators. It's made available, and because it's a recognizable thing, a recognizable brand, it'd be easier to make something for Labyrinth Lord or something for Basic Fantasy, or to make Basic Fantasy itself, because it's recognizable and because we can edit it and we can homebrew it and then sell it as a thing called Basic Fantasy. It's a homebrew of a rule system that's more complex and pain in the arse, and so we can't deny those things are all true. But I will say this. I think I wouldn't panic about the future unless you give a shit about Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons. And I'll be honest with you, big corporations, this is the reality of big corporations. This is the reality of corporate America. This is the reality of the dragon devouring the party, right? I mean, let's call this the Wizards of the Coast TPK, right? Total party kill. You shouldn't be surprised when you lay with the beast might eat you, right? And the beast is now crushing and removing those relationships, so to speak, right? The amount of money I'm assuming third parties have made from the existence of Dungeons and Dragons and the OGL license. In a way, the golden goose is now in its death throes, right? We're making death saves, to use the D&D 5e traditional rule. Make some death saves, because now what, right? I think it's not great, but at the same time, yeah, this is the problem with corporate beasts, right? So it's difficult to be original. I've said it before. When the older you get, the more you realize that there's nothing really new under the sun. That's just the way I feel about things. I'm an enthusiastic guy, but I always tend to see the glasses half full. I've always recognized the OGL was a boon for some, but I think at the same time, what would those individuals have created? I have benefited greatly. It's brought me back to the hobby. I don't know what the future holds, but if it's about making stuff for the Dungeons and Dragons brand, I could care less. Wizards of the Coast is giant. Let them spend that money in research and development. Let them spend all that money to create new books and new IP that to keep the customer happy. Because without those third-party developers writing interesting stuff to support my 5e habit, and I don't play 5e, but you get the point I'm making. It affects whether you bring new people to the game, and it affects whether those people say, I really like the 5e engine, but I want to play Greek mythology. Well, say goodbye, right, to the really good version of Greek mythology written directly for the 5e engine. I think obviously there'll be people who work out contracts and work out deals. I think that's still going to happen. But a guy like me wanting to write my own version of 5e, produce it, and then put it up on Drive-Thru RPG, those days are probably gone, right? Which is why I didn't want to write an OSR. I didn't want to use the OGL. I didn't want my first role-playing game. And there's only one other person, I think, in the community that saw my original Dark Age of Man document. And I think that was Anthony Runeslinger. I'd sent him my original document, which was going to use the OGL, and it was going to be an OSR. Dark Age of Man was going to be an OSR. And Anthony wrote back and said, yeah, if this is what again, I'm not going to speak for Anthony, but my recollection was Anthony said, make sure you understand the OGL legal stuff. And I wrote back and I said, that's a great point, but it also points out, why the hell do I want to make yet another OSR? Why do I want to make yet another D20 derivative using the OGL? And in a way that was good, because it stopped me dead. But at the same time, then later the conversations with Dell, and we ultimately create our own original game, and for what it's worth, right? And I'll say this: I am a firm believer in law. I'm a firm believer in the legal system. You don't like something, too bad. It's about legal, right? So maybe there's potential legal ramifications in antitrust suits. Maybe there could be potential legal, if you get the right legal team, and there's a right way to legally prove that Wizards of the Coast is creating an antitrust, so to speak, a monopoly. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, but I do believe there might be legal recourse down the road, not only on behalf of Wizards of the Coast if people violate the next whatever document they're going to come up with, but it would take a fund to get the right legal team together to basically say this is ultimately antitrust, so to speak. I don't know. Again, I'm talking on my ass. I really don't know the legal, but I believe in law, and I believe that this is, you live by this, you die by this. They grant you a legal document to give us all the freedom to buy and to make and to create, etc. And then they take it away, right? The Lord Wizards of the Coast giveth, the Lord Wizards of the Coast taketh away. Don't be surprised by that when the corporate dragon has had enough, and he decides that his gold. He's sitting on his mound of gold. I mean, let's face it, Wizard of the Coast is a perfect metaphor for the dragon on his heap of gold. He looks around and says, holy shit, Castles and Crusades is taking money out of our pocket. I mean, not money out of our pocket, but Castles and Crusades success, Pathfinder success, that's all money that should be ours. At some point, the dragon is going to decide he wants all that gold, right? So it's a perfect metaphor, right? A Wizards of the Coast, so I say to all of those out there that are offended by this or irritated by this, or unfortunately their future business could be affected by this. That is sad, and I'm sorry. But look to freely, look to games like Dragon's Bane, right? Give your money to these other companies, and in my opinion, they're making, I think, better games anyway. We have so many options in the D20 world, going all the way back to the original Dungeons and Dragons, to the advanced Dungeons and Dragons, to 2.0, to 3, to 3.5, to Pathfinder, to an infinite number of OSR clones. Let them have it. Let them create the beast and let them milk that golden goose until the golden goose dies. And then we'll see them change their tune, right? We may see them change their tune again already because of the fallout, the backlash from this. But here's the thing. This is the perfect time to invest your money in other companies. It's the perfect time to try other games. It's the perfect time to find out maybe D&D ain't the shit. Maybe Dungeons and Dragons just ain't the shit. Maybe the D20 ain't the shit. Maybe the level and class-based gaming ain't the shit. Maybe there's a lot of better stuff out there. I haven't played D&D 5e in years. I have run a few games, and I played in a couple of games. Haven't touched it in 5 years. I haven't touched it in years as far as a dungeon master. I haven't played in it in a couple of years as a player. I have enjoyed and found far greater things to do. So I don't know what the long-term fallout will be. I know that I have personally benefited as a consumer, thanks to Span's work and Stater's work and all of this Chris Gonerman's work and Castles and Crusades guys. I mean, I can't think of everybody, but all of them kept me going. All of them gave me something, right? Lamentations of the Flame Princess, a genius game based, and not for the OGL, there is no Lamentations, right? And so that's a sad thing, but it's also the reality. And I don't think the OGL may not affect continued clones. I don't know how the OGL will affect clones or affect the OSR retro clone community. I hope it doesn't have an effect. If there's the old OGL license that might pertain to older versions, I hope that continues to live on. But if you're pissed off because they're squashing your ability to make crap for D&D 5e, my advice to you is you shouldn't. D&D 5e is so what, make something else for something else, right? I don't know, but that's my take for what it's worth. And everybody's had a take, and I thought, what the hell? I'll put in my take, but I can't say the OGL has not benefited me greatly as a gamer and as a consumer. I have been so inspired by so many different OSRs, and all of them would not have been in existence if not for the OGL. And the future of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, or whoever it is controlling this, it marks a pretty, probably, again, I don't know if the final documents are out. I don't know what the final legal realities of it are, and I don't know if most gamers understand those things. I think people have a knee-jerk reaction, and it's to get upset that there's going to be change. They don't even know what the change is. Some stuff has been leaked, but I know this: I wouldn't be in role playing if it wasn't for the original OGL and Labyrinth Lord, right? And that just led me to other games and other great. I mean, I've literally had hundreds and hundreds of hours of GMing and gaming again since that since I came back in, I think it was 2008. I think I was on YouTube in 2000, and it might have been 2010. I can't remember when I first came to YouTube, and was sharing my return to gaming as a GM of Labyrinth Lord, and was recapping all those original sessions here from my group here in town, and it was amazing. And but ironically, that led me to other stuff too, like Green Ronin's Dragon Age system, and I love that. And it led to other versions of the Age system for me. So, but yeah, I don't know what the future holds for third-party companies that literally stand to lose their brand connection to the 5e system and to the Dungeons and Dragons brand. And I never wish ill will on any company or any individual when it's about their livelihood, and when it's about their future of their company or future of their opportunity to earn in something they love, especially when they're consumers that want it. I mean, I've said it before. I used to I've said this a couple times in the past in a few videos. I've bitched about the delusion of the OSR. There's so many derivative OSRs, and it's a glut of them. But the reality is, we don't know what will be created today or tomorrow that is like, wow, this is fantastic. So I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, that's my 2 cents, and there's a very little legal argument I can make, but I am a law-abiding citizen. I believe in the law. I believe if that's the way the law bounces, it's time to do your own thing, or it's time to write your own stuff, or it's time to go to another company or support a company that doesn't have these issues. And or again, there's maybe potential antitrust suits, the potential. I have no idea. I don't know, but fascinating. Um, anyway, perfect metaphor, right? The dragon on the mountain of gold decides that they don't have all the gold and they need more gold. And then people just fall in line. They just eat it up and fall in line. So, hey, all right, everybody out there, have a great week.